to Sportsnet Lakers. I'm your host, Allie Clifton. Joining me is our Lakers insider, Mike Bresnahan, and from The Athletic, one half of the Cam Bros. His name is Brian Kamenetsky. BK, good to see you. How are you?
Good to see you guys. I'm doing good.
Lots to talk about. Lakers, I hear, are going to be starting the NBA Finals on Wednesday. Can you confirm?
I can. Sources.
Sources. You are the source.
That's right.
And we've got a packed show, speaking of. So let's get right to it. We get things started with the Purple and Gold advancing to their first NBA Finals since 2010 with a 117-107 win over the Nuggets on Saturday night. And the Miami Heat are making their first return to the finals since 2014 after knocking off the Celtics 4-2. All the finals action gets underway on Wednesday night with Game 1. And here's Lakers head coach Frank Vogel on how the team is preparing for the Heat after winning the West.
I think we were excited when we won Game 5 against the Nuggets and earned our spot in the NBA Finals. But I think we appropriately had fun with it that night, enjoyed it that night. And then the next day, it's time to move on to the next, get ready to play either the Celtics or the Heat was our mindset yesterday. Watched the game, obviously learned that it's the Heat, and now it's all business. So, I don't think there's any kind of, eye towards the end of getting home or anything like that. It's really about, staying single-minded in our focus about what needs to happen for us to beat the Miami Heat.
Are there certain things that you can take and apply to this Miami series, or are they a pretty unique and independent team that requires a totally different approach?
Each team is unique, but I do believe that we've learned lessons in each of the first 3 rounds that will help us with this series and with this opponent. Without getting into all the details of them, there are some similarities to each of those opponents. That hopefully will have strengthened some of the things that we need to do to beat the Miami Heat.
So, guys, here we are. Holy crap. I can't believe we're talking about the NBA Finals. The Lakers are in it. But when you think back to the last several months, we didn't even know if the season would return. But here we are. So I want to start first with BK. Just the amount of kudos we need to give to the league for allowing it and pulling this thing off.
What's funny about it is, too, Allie, it's gone so well inside the bubble in terms of, no COVID positive tests. And, the basketball has been really good at a higher level than I think most people anticipated, that we kind of forgot how hard it was for a little while for the players to be there. I think all of us understand it better now. But those initial few weeks were so good, it just seemed like this fantasy basketball camp that we were watching. And so, yeah, the NBA deserves tremendous respect. The players deserve, congratulations and respect for giving up their, time with their families and all that. And obviously the coaches and staff, all of it. It's been remarkable how well this has gone.
Yeah, BK, well stated. I mean, big picture, no COVID tests, no positive COVID tests for over 2 months now. And even the smallest things are really impressive to me. Like, you're watching these games and you hear the fans in the background and you're like, wait, after a while you realize, wait, the fans aren't there. But I feel like the NBA ops people, the game ops people have done a really nice job of making us feel like, yeah, we're watching a game, whether it's the fans kind of ringing the facility in the lower bowl there, or, like I said, just kind of some fun things going on during these games. So everything from the important stuff to the minor details have really made this thing go.
Yeah, well said from the both of you, because in my regard, I just feel like it's blown out my expectations.
Yeah, 100%.
Just by pulling it off. And then, of course, you guys talk about the actual games itself and how much fun they've been. You've got the Heat now and the Lakers in the finals, both who are 12-3 here in the postseason. BK, I'll start with you again. When it comes to the Lakers and just what you've seen with them here through the West in the postseason, how impressive has that been?
Look, 12-3 is 12-3. 5-5-5. You go through it against a good conference, and you can find things to say about Portland. Maybe they, not much in the front court, whatever it might be, but they were a better 8 seed than almost any team you'll ever see in any season. Houston, okay, they don't have bigs, but they have 2 superstars, and James Harden and Russell Westbrook, and obviously Denver was playing extremely well when they got into that series. The Lakers beat 3 good teams to get here, and they did it in increasingly dominant fashion because, again, each one of those teams was better than the last, and they won each of those series in 5 games.
Yeah, BK, no doubt. I mean, you look at each of these 3 different series, kind of a different flavor from each opponent. Portland, great backcourt, a very good back to the basket center in Nurkic, That didn't end well for them. Then Houston, whatever that offense is, whatever that team is, whatever it's going to be, whatever it will be, I have no idea. But that was something totally unusual. And then kind of back to some basics, but a very young Denver team. I mean, these guys are going to be good for years to come. They really shut down a very hot Nuggets team with Jamal Murray scoring 50 and 40 and so many other games, but didn't really hit the Lakers that badly. And the same can be said for, of course, their all-star center. I mean, just an amazing job by the Lakers, beating three pretty different franchises.
Gentleman sweep after gentleman sweep after gentleman sweep. And here we are. What everyone wants to know, the schedule for the finals. It looks like this. All you really need to know is that game 1 is set for Wednesday at 6 p.m. And then, of course, you see 2 and 3 and 4 are as follows. We'll get to 5, 6, and 7 if necessary.
Yes.
Now that the matchup is set, Frank Vogel knows the Lakers will have their work cut out to them versus the Miami Heat.
They're extremely well coached. You know, obviously, they got a lot of ways that they can beat you. To me, they have 3 all-star level players in Butler, Bam, and I've always felt Goran Dragic, when healthy, is an all-star level player. Obviously, a Hall of Fame addition in Andre Iguodala. They have shooting, they have toughness, and like I said, they're extremely well coached. So there's no surprise that they've had such a successful postseason run. Very impressed with what they've been able to accomplish, beating 3 teams convincingly that we're on pace, if they're an 82-game season, to win plus 50 games. And, we're going to have to be at our best to beat them.
Jimmy Butler, he said yesterday, Miami's not for everybody, I'm not for everybody, but that seems to fit. I'm just curious kind of what you thought about his fit with their culture.
Well, his fit with their culture is perfect, because he's about toughness, and he's about winning. And, that's what the Miami Heat are about. I can tell you I've got great respect for Jimmy and what he brings to the table. And obviously, he's a huge part of what they're doing this year. He has really set a tone for them from a toughness standpoint and being about winning.
All right, guys, so let's dive into your top storylines when it comes to this series. And, Brez, you're going to start with LeBron.
Yeah, it's got to be LeBron. I mean, first and foremost, the guy has really willed the Lakers this far. No doubt about it. It just made so much sense to me that in Game 5, potential elimination game against Denver, he was the guy to make it happen. 38 points for a soon-to-be 36-year-old. I love that fourth quarter as well. 16 points, missed his first shot, and then made 7 of his next 9, dagger after dagger after dagger. Mostly mid-range game. He didn't really attack the basket that much in that ever-important fourth quarter. And this series, to me, starts and ends with LeBron James. Does he get that 4th championship? I think he does.
So on my script, BK, you sent in your 2 top storylines, and you're going to have to say what your first word is of this. Blank of Anthony Davis. What are we talking about for your first storyline?
Look, you're talking about a guy who went to LA seeking out this heat. Like, he's like, come and give this to me. I want to step up and be big on the biggest stage that you could possibly have. And has, I don't know if you could say he's met expectations, exceeded expectations, blown away expectations. 29 points a game, 9.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists. He's shooting 57% from the floor, 36.5% from 3. And so he has ascended to a place where, Brez talks about kind of the cementing of the legacy of LeBron James. This is the ascendance of Anthony Davis, the beginning, in theory, of kind of him creating that kind of all-time great legacy, where it's not just one of the elite players, he's one of the truly transcendent players in the league, and it starts with winning a title. He's got one more round to finish off this thing, which he kind of sought out in under very difficult, pressure-filled circumstances.
I just gave you guys a tease. We're going to play fill in the blank later. What a strong word by you, BK. Ascendance.
But I saved my word for later, though, Alex.
Oh, I've got one too. Trust me.
Brez, your number 2.
I saw the trap you were laying. I didn't step it.
You didn't take the bait. AD versus Bam. That's what you got your eye on.
Yeah, Kentucky Wildcat versus Kentucky Wildcat. Well, how I would phrase it, a really good young player against a good, really young player. AD, kind of the vet of these two. I don't even know what I just said there. I think I blacked out for a second, but I hope it made sense. Love what AD has done, especially this last round. 31 points a game, shot 55%, just demoralizing whatever Denver kind of threw at him. But Bam, breakout year for him. The 14th pick in the 2017 draft. He really sent Boston packing with, 32 points and 14 rebounds in that elimination game. It's going to be fun to watch those two guys. Don't know how much they'll be going up against each other, guarding each other. We'll see if Frank puts Dwight Howard on Bam to start. Some things to be learned over the next 48 hours. I
want to know if Spo puts Bam on AD to start.
There you go.
We'll find out. BK, Lakers as a whole, your second point.
Yeah, I'm not one of these guys who normally kind of gets into the stars and the all of these things, but their feet, most notably being the death of Kobe Bryant and the other victims on that helicopter crash. The types of ups and downs, and you see these moments where Kobe's number or something pops up that reminds you of the family, and it just feels like there's something completing here because of the way that the memory of Kobe has been openly discussed among the players throughout the playoffs, the way that these guys have kind of come together, the cohesion of this group, the way they really seem to enjoy each other's company. And the good news is, if you don't buy this stuff, if you don't believe in this sort of thing, they still have LeBron James and Anthony Davis, who are the two best players left in the playoffs by far.
That.
So
yeah.
Either way, you're kind of covered here.
And they're still undefeated when they wear the Mamba jerseys. So
great call.
If you don't want to buy into it, then fine. Go away. Well done. Good start for both of you. We've got more to come. LeBron and AD said they have chemistry like a pair of stepbrothers.
Yes.
Dale and Brennan.
Love this.
We'll discuss the dynamic duo quest for the title next on Access. Plus, after the break, Rob Pelinka discusses the leadership LeBron and AD have displayed for the purple and gold during their time in the bubble. The Blazers, Rockets, and Nuggets on their way to the finals, while the Heat knocked off the Indiana Pacers, Milwaukee Bucks, and the Boston Celtics. Now for more, Lakers GM Rob Pelinka joined Alan Sliwa on ESPN LA 710 and discussed the impact LeBron and AD have had for the Lakers in the bubble environment.
It's going to always be more just because of his transcendent leadership. And I think, the bubble environment has even brought that out more because there's really not much here other than basketball, especially at the beginning parts where there was no family. And just the way he attacks the game, gets prepared physically, mentally, and just the way he sees the game. I think our team has really rallied around that. And I would say the same about Anthony Davis as a leader. He may be more quiet and maybe less active on social media channels, but someone said to me once, quiet waters run deep. And, that's AD in terms of there's just such a depth of understanding to the game. He's a 6'11" guard. He's got incredible footwork, the ability to find guys when they double team him, of course, protect the rim and rebound. And his leadership has been great, too. So both players have been beyond our wildest expectations.
All right, diving back into this series, the matchup to watch in your series X Factor. We're going to start first with the matchup to watch. BK, I like this one because they're not wearing uniforms. You're going Eric Spoelstra versus Frank Vogel.
I am, because, so much attention is going to be paid to Bam and, Jimmy Butler and LeBron and Bam and AD and all that. I'm fascinated by the coaching matchup here because I think at this point, a lot of people might argue that Eric Spoelstra is the best coach in the NBA. Maybe it's Nick Nurse, maybe it's still Pop, whatever it is, but Spo is right in that conversation. And Frank Vogel's impact on this team, the way he's guided the Lakers through the year, the way he's been able to create the kind of flexibility you've seen in their lineups by doing all the stuff he did in the regular season and cultivating that flexibility. He's done a spectacular job with the Lakers group this year. They both have similar starts as video coordinators. Neither one of them played professionally in the NBA. There's a lot of similarities here. And I see this kind of back and forth X's and O's matchup where the adjustments come as one of the most obviously important, but also interesting aspects of the series.
And back over a handful of years ago, they met in the conference finals when Frank was, of course, with the Indiana Pacers. Brez, your matchup to watch only consists of the Lakers.
Yeah, kind of in a Ron Burgundy tone, the Lakers versus themselves. I've been really impressed by what the Lakers have done. Okay, in the second round, Clippers eliminated. and also the Bucks. All right, so 2 of the 3 massive favorites gone. Lakers probably needed a day to adjust to that. The much anticipated West Finals between the 2 LA teams vaporizing, but you know what? They turned it around really quickly, got their eyes on the prize, and they pretty much handled the Denver Nuggets. There was that one weird game where they kind of got out rebounded. Other than that, they looked really strong in just about every facet. AD, the big winner there, he will not forget some of these things that he has done in that last round in particular. So as long as they just kind of manage expectations, they're massive favorites, against a pretty unexpected team in the finals. They got to just keep their composure. They can't freak out.
Your matchups to watch, no big deal. I love it. Let's move on to your X Factor, BK, your X Factor here in the finals.
Oh, for me, I'm looking at with the Lakers, I'm looking at Rajon Rondo, because one thing that the Miami Heat do really well, they switch on a lot of stuff, they zone up really well, and they play good defense. That's actually, I guess, 3 things. But yeah, anyway,
it's good.
The Lakers, when Rondo plays well, have a different dynamic, and it gives them other options for creating offense, particularly in half court, particularly in transition, that that expand their ability to score. And we've seen when the Lakers get bogged down, it's because they get mucky in the half court. They can't figure out where to get a good shot and all that. And if you allow Eric Spoelstra and a good defensive team to load up on LeBron as the sole playmaker for the Lakers, I think you could run into a little bit of trouble there. When Rondo has been good, he opens up the floor for the Lakers. Plus, he's shooting 44% from 3, which is better than anybody on the team. So they need his shooting, and they need him to move the ball around.
His IQ, because as you just described as why Eric Spoelstra is so prominent in this league, you have to have someone that can go up against that. Mm-hmm. And Rajon Rondo provides that from an IQ standpoint as well. Brez, for you, your Lakers X Factor is?
KCP. Been talking about him a lot ever since the team returned to the bubble. Gonna do it one last time. To me, he's the guy. If you go back to his seeding games, not very strong for KCP. Not very good in the playoff opener way back when. 0 for 9, his worst shooting night ever in his 7-year career. Ever since then, though, Allie, he's been really, really strong for this team, shooting almost 50% from three-point range if you discard and throw out that first game against Portland. I like we did that last series. A little bit quiet in the final game with only 2 points, but a steady 13, 14 points seemingly every game other than that. He's got to be the guy. He's got to bust Miami's zone. That zone defense has really caused trouble for teams so far throughout the playoffs. So KCP's got to be a zone buster with a couple of their Laker perimeter guys.
Bust that zone.
You got to make it happen.
Not where I thought you were going. Well played. Coming up on Access, we'll hear what Jimmy Buckets had to say about will take center stage as the Heat and Lakers face off in the NBA Finals. Here's a look at the playoff averages for both leading men. You see Butler averaging about 21 points, 6 boards, 5 assists. LeBron James, 27, 10, and 9. Jimmy Butler knows it's all about beating LeBron if you want to win the NBA championship.
The main key, and it's been like this for a very long time, if you want to win, you're going to have to go through a LeBron James-led team. At the end of the day, that's what it normally comes down to. And that's what we got to focus in on. Obviously, you can't just focus in on him because he has so many really good players around him. But you're going to get the same test over and over again until you pass it. And that test is LeBron James.
So, of course, LeBron back in the finals, chasing that 4th ring, season 17. BK embracing that challenge, all the while the challenge of helping to lead the Lake Show back to the top. What have you been impressed with so far as it comes to this postseason run for LeBron?
I mean, all of it. I mean, it's hard to. I mean, you saw what happened in the 4th quarter of Game 5 against Denver in terms of LeBron deciding that there would not be a Game 6. He talked about it afterwards, like, I am as desperate to get out of a series as another team is to stay in it. That is 17 years of understanding what it means. 9 out of the last 10 finals now. That's all the understanding that comes from this experience and knowing how valuable every minute off the court can be. It just, the precision with which he plays, the drive with which he plays, his ability to help Anthony Davis get to this place where he has been so tremendous throughout the playoffs, to lead his team under these circumstances. This is for a guy who's had this many moments in the finals and so many rings and all that, I don't think it's overstating it to say, even with that win against Golden State, this could go down as his most impressive title if the Lakers can get it.
That's very well said.
Yeah, that's strong. That's strong. I mean, the thing I like about LeBron, if you look at the big picture, I mean, this is his second year at the Laker franchise. I mean, it's still, presumably so new for him. I mean, it's a quick turnaround for him. I like how he took this job, so to speak, with no one really on the team except a bunch of young, unproven players almost 2 years ago. Obviously, getting AD about a year ago, that kind of helped things along a little bit. But I think that the thing about him in these playoffs, he's done it so many different ways. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, he closed out Denver with a ton of mid-range points in that fourth quarter where he was just going off with 16 points. Closeout game against Houston, I think he had 4 threes, so he kind of stuck it to them from deep. And, just doing so many different things, whether it's attacking the basket or flinging that ball 80 feet to a wide open AD as he's getting down there for an easy deuce. Just so many ways he has punctured so many different teams. Can't forget LeBron's defense either. It's been top-notch in the playoffs.
You guys just both did a great job of breaking down the challenge in itself that he has managed and handled so far. But just another element to add to this, again, as he's chasing his 4th ring, I think it's been such an awesome story, BK, because he's now going to have to do that up against the team that he learned how to win his 1st ring with.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot of circle of life going on in this series. When you put it all together.
I want to sing the song.
Don't let this stop you. What he has managed to accomplish in terms of again keeping this group together, with the subplots now with Pat Riley in there, and that breakup didn't go really well with Riley kind of questioning LeBron's manhood for wanting to leave and go somewhere else. And even Riley kind of admitted afterwards he might have misplayed that. So there is a little bit of that there. I can't imagine how intense it would have been, guys, though, if he hadn't gone back to Cleveland in between. Like if this was Miami and then straight to the Lakers, it would be bonkers right now. But even then, there's still an element of that kind of, who wants a little bit of revenge here? Does anybody want revenge? Is that part of this story? I'm not sure.
I just want to dive into the other story that has been developing, because how great LeBron has been. How about the stepbrothers, Brennan and Dale? Because they're going to have to be just as great here in the finals. But I like the story that is coming out of this with AD
I'm picturing
and
these guys right now in the bubble. They got their little twin beds. They're kind of sleeping in the same room, putting together a little prestige worldwide. I mean, whatever it takes to keep doing this thing. I mean, it's been fun to watch. And it looked good on paper last year when they got Anthony Davis, all right? You have one of the best rebounder shot blockers of the last 7 or 8 years in Anthony Davis. And you couple him with a guy who does his own damage in the paint, but can also pass, hit some deep threes like that one, and is obviously a proven winner, unlike AD, who, if you just go by the book, he'd only been to the second round a couple times in his career. Doesn't look like it right now. AD looks like a grizzled vet out there. He looks very calm and cool, and LeBron is definitely helping him along that path.
Let's tease fill in the blank again. Brownie points for whoever can fill in the blank. I'm Brennan. I'm Dale, but you have to call me Dragon.
And you have to call me
probably
Nighthawk. You have to call me Nighthawk.
Oh, well done. This is probably the
the
time where I point out I have never actually seen that movie. Never seen it.
Oh,
I know.
And as much as I want to bury you for that, I can't, because I've only seen it once, and it's probably last week.
Allie, I think you've only seen like 3 movies in your life.
I know, right? Moving on. LeBron, career in the finals. Guys, let's check out these numbers. They're pretty impressive. 49 games, which is 7th. Points, 2nd all-time. Field goals made, 3rd all-time. 3-point field goals made, 2nd. 5th in rebounds. Not bad.
Not bad at all.
While LeBron has proven to be a playoff performer, having just checked out those dominating stats, Anthony Davis is well into his first taste, all the while doing it with the Lake Show. So before we put last series like moment the Brow had in Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals versus the Nuggets.
This is a second-half team, right? We say over and over again, this is a second-half team.
Becoming a reality. The similarities between the 2020 Lakers and 2009 Lakers title team are very similar, dating back to round 2, defeating the Rockets, both in 2009 and 2020 in the second round. Conference finals, of course, both defeated the Nuggets. Won an NBA championship against Orlando in 2009 in Orlando. An NBA championship being played here in 2020 in Orlando. again. Kobe Bryant won his 4th ring in 2009. LeBron James chasing his 4th ring.
Great stuff.
Here in 2020. After helping the Lakers advance to the finals, LeBron James spoke about continuing to honor the life and legacy of Kobe Bryant.
Every time you put on purple and gold, you think about his legacy, you think about him and what he meant to this franchise for 20 plus years. And what he stood for, both on the floor and off the floor. What he demanded out of his teammates, what he demanded out of himself. We have some similarities in that sense. Our games are different. But as far as our mindset and our drive to want to be the best and our drive to not lose, or even, if the score, sometimes you're going to lose games, but just that drive to always want to be, victorious, it stops you from sleeping. And sometimes you put certain things, you sacrifice a lot of things. You sacrifice your family at times because you're so driven to be, so great that other things fall by the wayside at times. So I understand that. I'm one of the few that can understand the mindset that he played with and the journey from high school to the NBA. It's just a thing that that I carry with me. Like I said, every time I decide at one point in that locker room before the game when I throw that jersey on.
Chilling. Lakers Heat Game 1 is set for Wednesday. We know that. But first, we want to look back at the top plays from the Purple and Gold versus the Heat this season. And Lakers NBA Finals tip-off on Wednesday. And as we wait for the games to begin, we'll continue to break down this series any and every way we can. So now we do it with a round of fill in the blank.
I just want to watch BK dance.
Dale, you playing the drums? Brez, we're going to start with you.
Wow.
Who, fill in the blank? Your series prediction is?
5 games. Lakers in 5. Sorry, I'm very distracted right now. Really enjoying the show behind me. Lakers in 5. I mean, hey, it's been a good recipe for them.
I'm no weatherman, but if I get the hang of it.
It's amazing.
It's been good for the first 3 rounds. Lakers in 5, and just keep it rolling. I don't think they sweep. A lot of people are saying a lot of Laker fans are saying they should sweep, but I'll pass on that.
All right, BK, your series prediction is?
Lakers in 6. I've said Lakers in 6 in every series so far. I've been off by 1, but it's worked out for the Lakers every time, and I'm not going to change.
I love it. All right, moving on. X Factor for the Heat. Brez?
Tyler Hero. We're still doing BK's B-roll. Tyler Hero, I'm back. Here's the deal. I mean, it's a very short bench from Miami. Basically, 2 people, Hero and Andre Iguodala. And Hero had a very nice postseason, and then he had 37 points last week in that game against Boston. That to me was kind of a breakthrough game for him. He's only a rookie, but he's pretty good. So if he's on, Lakers need to watch out for him.
He also went to college?
Kentucky. A lot of Wildcats.
All right, BK, your X Factor for the Heat is?
Goran Dragic averages about 22 points a game, shooting well into the 40s, 42% from 3 when they win. When they lose, he's down about 17 points and 14% from 3-point range. Big difference. They've only lost 3 games. When Dragic doesn't play well, the Heat don't win.
You know what they call Goran Dragic?
The Dragon?
The Dragon.
The Dragon.
Wow, Step Brothers, it's really carrying theme. All right, number 3, biggest question mark for the Lakers, Brez, is?
Can they bust the zone? I mean, that Heat zone. I mean, it's been really, really tough on everyone. You love it. BK loves it. Producer B-More loves it. He's in my ear right now.
I just love you saying bust the zone. They have
to bust the zone. I mean, it's all up to the Laker 3-point shooters. KCP, Danny Green, LeBron, and AD when they're out there. BK had the great stat earlier. Rondo's been hitting really well from deep. So if those 5 guys can kind of force that Heat defense to come out of the zone, it'll definitely help the Lakers, I think.
All right, your biggest question mark for the Lakers is, BK?
Well, it's half-court offense, in part because of that zone, which is why, while you guys do this, I'm just going to try to design a Bust That Zone T-shirt because I feel like we've got enough time to sell those things.
Are you going to share your screen
Brez,
with us?
I'll go halvesies with you if you want, buddy. We'll make a little coin.
Fair enough.
When this pandemic is over, we'll go road tripping. It'll be fun. Can
you share your screen with us on Skype? I can see what you're designing over there.
I don't really know how to do that.
Yeah, okay. I want a T-shirt with a drum set on it, so figure that one out too.
I'm trying to put a hat on top of Allie.
Brez. Oh my gosh, we have to move on. Brez, one word to describe 80s postseason play is?
With a hat tip to Rob Pelinka, transcendent. I mean, it's kind of a word that I've always enjoyed, and Rob uses it. BK right now is being transcendent himself. I appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, it's been awesome watching him play. He has really taken that next step. We weren't sure how he would be. You know, he's only been in the playoffs a few times in his 7-year career in New Orleans, but now we know exactly how he does in crunch time.
All right, BK, one word to describe 80s postseason play is?
Declarative. He is a guy who wanted to come to a place where he could be under the brightest spotlights and turn himself and make himself one of the elite players, truly elite, transcendent players, as Brez says, in the NBA. And he has declared himself such in this postseason. It's been absolutely phenomenal.
From ascending to declarative. That is how we describe Anthony Davis.
Yes.
Love it. All right, Brez, final one. A stat that stands out for the Lakers is?
53-0. That's the record this entire season when they have the lead going into the fourth quarter. Elias Stats came up with it. They've been around for like 100 years, so they know stuff. It's actually the best mark for any team in the shot clock era when they hold that lead through 3 quarters. So I think keep the game, Lakers. Have the lead going into the fourth, and I think all will be well. And BK, if you could give Allie a hat again, that was awesome. I really enjoyed it thoroughly.
You can put the hat on me if you finish this. The stat that stands out for the Lakers is?
12-0. They are 12-0 when they shoot better than 30% from three-point range in the playoffs. That's not even that good. That just tells you how they just have to hit the minimum bar here offensively, and they can get it done.
Very well done, the both of you. All right, we're back with more.